Well, hello there. Welcome to April 18th, 2022. I'm Kurt, and this is the Good Life Meditation on a tax day, no less. So, excuse me. I wish you hope all is well. I'm a little bit anxious this morning. I don't know why. It's kicking off the day with a little mild morning anxiety. I don't know why. I don't have a lot of meetings today. I do have one important meeting, but it's the sixth of a series, so it's getting to be rather routine now. Yeah. And then I have some other meetings, not too bad, but then I have some issues I have to wrangle. Anyway, how did I get started talking about that stuff first? Because it's on my mind, and I was up early. I think I'm up to there's four people that I'm in correspondence with that are having the same trouble sleeping that I am. Thinking about work. Anyway, this is something I do every morning. I get up, I clean up, I make a cup of coffee, and I sit down and turn the camera on, and I talk at the camera to do three things: to check on how I'm doing with regard to my attempts to live well, looking at yesterday, the last 24 hours, and then going over my life objectives and principles, and then forecasting the coming day to see what kind of things might challenge me. So let's just do it. Take a sip and then do it. Yesterday was a Sunday, and it was a great day. Yumiko and I had finished all of our chores on Saturday, so it was really just a day to do what we wanted. I got up in the morning, did a lot of reading. I took the dogs for their walk. Then I did a lot of reading. Yumiko and I went out for breakfast. We had a nice breakfast together. And then we came back, did some more reading, took the dogs for another walk. Then Yumiko and I went and saw a movie together. We saw Lost City, which was really good. We really liked that. And then came home, did more reading, did a little update work on my website. And then Yumiko and I had a real nice dinner together and watched a movie, part of a movie together, and then I went to bed. Had a good talk with my brother as well, mixed in there. That was nice. It was a good day. Nothing really ambushed me. No real surprises. Oh, it was Easter too. Yumiko said something funny. She always says funny stuff. She had some things she wanted to do yesterday with that free time. Namely, she wanted to work on plants for the front of the house, and she wanted to she wanted to go to Lowe's, which is a home store, and then she wanted to go to Michael's to get something for the house, both of which were closed. We drove to both stores and we closed. And she has the funniest way of saying things without malice, just funny observation. She's like, because it was closed because it was Easter, and she observed that, the sentiment of what she said was, the Christians, because it's a Christian, festival. It's not a festival, holiday. It's not a national holiday. It's just a day observed by Christians. And she said, the Christians are ruining her day because all the stores are closed. She says, it's not a national holiday. It's not like it's 4th of July. Why are all these stores closed? And I thought that was a funny sentiment, that the Christians are ruining Easter. She didn't say those words. I added those, but what a funny observation. Well, it does seem to be bigger. I don't remember Easter being that big a deal in the past, but with stores closed everywhere and the like. Okay, let's do my good life. 7 objectives, 30 principles, and these are to always have my affairs in order so that I'm ready to pass, to to make good measured use of my days and to sleep well at night, to work hard to develop a good set of life principles and objectives so that I'm living a worthwhile life towards some valuable end, even if that value is contrived. To react well to what happens in life, to not fly off the handle, to be in control of my emotions, to be doing good things throughout the day, finding ways to make things better, to see my limits, what I can possibly do and what I can't, and to always do one thing at a time, never combining tasks, never multitasking, and to do whatever I'm doing slowly and deliberately. To always be at war with every proposition of truth that seems of any significance. I'm not going to fight your claims that you prefer cheddar cheese, but I will question your suggestion that you understand the nature of the universe and why we're here. And I will question my own, especially my own ideas, especially those that I've already accepted. Very suspicious of what I already believe. And I'll be a reasonable human being, honest, objective, very skeptical, like I already said. And I'll remember that I do not have a soul, but I do have a consciousness, this thing that I'm using right now, this thing that's awake, and that I get this for a little short time, and I get to use it to make things better and to think about the world and to get to know things. And this consciousness is stuck inside my head. No one can touch another truly. All we can do is just kind of warmly embrace the outer edges. Each of us is ultimately very alone. Witness the way that we die in solitude, even when we're surrounded by our loved ones. No one can really reach us. And then right and wrong, good and evil, are simply ideas. There's no absolute right and wrong anywhere in the universe. It's just a consequence of our thinking and the fact that we need to have rules and provisions to help us to live better, especially live better with one another, live in some sense of some contrivance of cooperation and maybe peace. And then I will strive to be a good husband. And to that end, my wife and I will work together to be good parents. And then I'll work to make things better in objectively measurable ways, improving the well-being of others, particularly of those who can feel and suffer, to help alleviate and avoid that suffering. And I'll also work to share my own result of my own efforts, my own books, particularly going alone. And to remember that everything is made of bits and pieces, and that it's all falling to pieces and coming together again as more pieces back together. And this thing that I am, these pieces that I am, are only mine for a short while before they too will fall to pieces, and I will be no more. And everything has some way that it is, a particular characteristic and inertia, and some way of being, some collection of characteristics. That's true for things that are alive and things that aren't. And if I can remember that, I can do better to deal with the world and with others as they really are. And I will strive to be a mature human being by recognizing where I've been successful and where I failed, and learning from those things, and having the strength to do better in the future. And to be a social man, someone that looks out to be with other people, that doesn't strive to be alone, even though I wrote a book of that name. It's not the purpose of the book. And that I'll speak well, carefully use my words and select how I speak and what sentences I'll use and what meaning I'm trying to convey and how I'm trying to convey it, and to use words that are appropriate and suitable, and to not be ostentatious or flashy in any way. To be humble and mild and deliberate. So too with my written communication as well. And to never, ever, ever gossip. And to be a temperate human being. Controlling my consumption of all things. My eating, my drinking, my working, my playing, my sleeping. Everything in measured amounts. Trying to avoid too much. No extra cookies, like I like to say. And to remember that this life is a horror show of sorts. We already live in a form of hell in life that we're living. Terrible things going on all around us, all the time, every day, and terrible things coming for us. Each of us has to face a terror of sorts at the end, whether it be quick or long and drawn out. And I try to remember that and help others to alleviate their suffering and maybe push it back if possible, or push it aside, move around it to the best of our ability. And to bear these things with strength and determination and fortitude and courage. To bear not only the fact of the horror show, but also to bear the responsibilities that we've decided to take on, to live out the life that we decided and we chose for ourselves. And to be very, very careful with my difficult moments. And when the difficulty comes, to contain it and control it, to let the moment pass, to pull myself away, to not use others as an audience for my own upset. And when others choose to do the same, to be attentive to being able to offer them some comfort, but to not consume it, to not be overly influenced by the pain that others throw out into the world, to not take that pain in and make it my own, but to offer a helping hand and a comforting shoulder. And to remember that the great emptiness that's out there, the thing I call the great indifference, the emptiness, the void of the universe, a universe of seemingly without God. That's a very fearful thing. And so I won't, it's not that it's without God necessarily, but that we're alone, that fact. That, ultimately we have nobody to turn to. There's no almighty, all-powerful to address our issues, to dry our tears, and to give us a second chance. And without that, it's a pretty scary place. I choose to address that, to witness that, and to not distract myself all the livelong day with my job and my family and my gossip and my hurt and my joy and my God. You can make this stuff up. I can tell myself that there's someone out there watching over me that will see me into a new existence after I'm dead, and that will give me reunion with the ones I love. But there's no good reason to think that's true. It's just another distraction. I would rather not be distracted. I would rather face that great indifference and make the best life I can in the face of that fact. To be content and satisfied where I am, who I am, and with what I'm doing right now. To not strive to be anyone else or be anywhere else or be doing anything else. It's a tricky thing to be all right with the status quo, yet all the while working to make life better. And to step lively on the thing I call the Path of Wildness, which is a way forward and through one life into another life, chapters of lives. Not lives in succession, one literal life following another, but periods of living of this one life that we get that are separated by transition moments, by the energy and effort and decision making that takes us through to new ways of living. There's something really good about that. I can feel the smile coming on my face right now because I'm in the process of doing it again. Just as we start to get everything settled here, Yumiko and I are scheming to take it apart. There's just too many other lives to live and no real opportunities to live again. Knowing that fact animates and motivates us to keep going. And to remember that there are different types of risks. There's the surface level risks, the ones that we're all familiar with. Things like getting an education and finding a job that can turn into a career, finding someone to marry and settle down with, buying a house, furnishing that house, populating the home with kids, saving for retirement, and then one day stepping back and letting the kids take center stage while we watch from the sidelines and slowly fade away. That's a good life. But for some of us, we want something more. It's not that we want it necessarily, it's kind of we're compelled. Not everybody is compelled this way. Kind of they're the fortunate ones, I think. But for those of us who are compelled to find ourselves, to live some life that will be our own, outside of the sane and the sober and the state and the true path, the so-called the true path. It is a true path. In fact, it's probably the only damn worthwhile path, the one I mentioned before. There's something very genuine and real and significant about family and kids and security in old age. Can't be denied. There's also something about pushing away, pushing down, pushing out on our own, finding ourselves and making our story. There's something to that. And for those of us that are drawn to that, if we don't attend to that, if we feel it especially when we're young, if we feel it and we don't attend to it, there may be consequences later for that if we don't do it. So I recommend doing it, to attend to that deep risk through the thing I call the Great Life Adventure. Preferably had one in our 20s, in the decade of our 20s. Although you can have it later, but to diminishing returns, I think. It's better when we're young and strong and capable to withstand injuries. we're not very smart, and we're able to tolerate our own folly. It's a good investment to make. And to never not necessarily never, but to try to be true. I was going to say never be untrue. It's hard to do that. There are times. To be true, and to be careful about what I believe. To not believe things just because I want to believe. Just because I so want it to be true, I'm going to believe it and believe it anyway, even though I have no good reason. I'm not going to do that. I'm also not going to believe things that are patently obviously true just because they're entertaining, or believe things that are sustained by tradition or the masses or some clamoring authority. And I'm also not going to gossip, because there are consequences to all of these things. It's a form of damnation, of believing things just because they make us comfortable, even though we don't have good reason, or of talking about others just because it distracts us, keeps us from having to attend to our own selves. No, I'm not going to do those things. But I will remember that when I'm dead, that'll be the end. There's going to be no afterlife. I'll never see my loved ones again. I'll never have a chance to hold them and say I love you or I'm sorry or anything. Nobody is being comforted at the hand of Jesus or of Buddha or of Allah or of the spider grandmother or Daikoku or Daruma-san or the Great Spirit. Everyone is just gone, has died. I'll never see them again. They'll never see me. We'll never make up. We'll never share laughter or joy again. And wrongs will never be righted. And rights will never be rewarded. Death is absolute. So seek after these things now while we have the chance. Reach out to the loved ones. Reach out to our friends. Make amends. Remember that it's not always perfect, that we don't always agree. But push around that. Give them a hug anyway. Tell them you love them. Ask them how their day was. Did you sleep well last night? And when the words start to come, popping in this side of the head, have some vehicle to get them out, to record them down before they evaporate away. Maybe out that side of the head. Not really, but it's kind of, I like that. It feels like it comes from that side, the words when they come. So I keep a book over there on the table, open at all times, ready to record the thoughts wherever I am in the house. I'll come up and write them down. Better to do it in print rather than electronic. Good paper. Although I try not to think about longevity. I just think about saying honestly whatever is coming to mind. And to remember that though I strive to hit the mark, I usually miss. Sometimes I missed by just a little. Sometimes I hit it square on, but mostly I miss. And that's all right. I'm going to miss today. I have an important meeting today. The chances of me hitting that thing square are pretty low. I'll miss, and that's okay. I've got another problem that's already on my mind. One of the things that had me up early, I was thinking about, it's going to miss too. That's okay. That's the way life is. It's a bullseye aim. Life is also a steady trudge uphill. Up, up, up. Every day another laborious step upwards. We, bones and muscles getting weaker. Mind starting to fail. The trail is rough and high and the air thin. Strange cold winds swirl at the peaks. But boy, when I stop and turn around and look back. What a view. I wouldn't see it if I didn't keep trudging. And if I stop, even for a day, my momentum will be lost. My muscle tone will, my muscles will cool. My brain circuitry will dim, and I won't be able to trudge on. So every day, trudge, trudge, trudge. Especially now, closing around 60, there's no time to rest. Why? Because there's nothing else to follow. If you're ever going to climb, now's the time to climb. I need to keep my principles handy to use throughout the day. Apathy, right here on my strap to my side. Temperance over here, ready to draw out. Fortitude, reason, skepticism, and a willingness to trudge on. Always these things are ready, right at my sides, to use. From the moment I wake up to the moment I close my eyes and I'm asleep. Because I do sleep like that. I'd have a hard time staying asleep when the dawn hours come. For about an hour before I get up, I'm usually awake, but boy, do I go to sleep quickly. And I need to keep while I'm awake my principles handy. Again, less is better. I like to say nothing is enough. Really, nothing is too much, but it's a boy can dream, right? And then finally, to remember to have fun. A lot of serious stuff going on, especially once you're a parent, and once you say I do, and once you agree to a job. A lot of serious stuff. A lot of recovery to make from past mistakes. But it's also important to have fun along the way, to have fun. And to remember that joy isn't just in the moment of now. Joy is in the anticipation, the hope for a better life, and in the remembrance of the life that we've lived, which the forecast and the retrospect strip away the messy bits, while all the while enjoying the messy middle. Okay, well, that's my good life creed. My 7 objectives and 30 principles. Now for the day. I think I've talked already enough about it. I've got a lot to do today. Kind of. It's not going to be a busy day, but it's going to be a challenging day. But I feel better talking about it. this little 30 minutes of thinking the day through always helps. Well, that's it for today. I wish you all the best. Be safe, but not too safe. Take care.